All right, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening for the Molalla Avenue Streetscape Virtual House. My name is Kristen Brown and I'm the Communications Coordinator at the City of Oregon City. I will say this is our very first virtual open house. So again, thank you for joining us and please forgive us as we work out the kinks in our Zoom webinar here today. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions during the presentation, click on the Q&A box on the bottom of your Zoom screen and type in your question. I'll bring the questions up to answer at the end of the presentation. And if you're viewing this presentation on your cell phone, just tap your screen to find the Q&A function. We hope to answer every question tonight, but if we don't have enough time, we're happy to follow up with an email afterwards. To see all the presenters together, click on the grid icon at the bottom of your screen. We will be recording the entire presentation tonight. The recording will be made available for public viewing on our project website and on our YouTube channel. Please know our staff and project partners are always willing to answer questions and chat more about the project. Contact information is on this slide and in your confirmation email, also on the city's website. To stay up to date with the project, we encourage you to join our project e-newsletter as shown on this screen. We consistently provide updates on the project on the city's social media accounts, next door posts, which are monthly, the project website, and in the printed publication, The Trail News. Tonight's presentation will focus on providing you a project overview, what to expect during construction, construction schedule, and impacts, as well as the benefits to this project. Now I want to introduce our presenters. After I announce their name, they'll raise their hand and give us a little wave. First is Brian Van Smorenberg, the project manager for the City of Oregon City. Then we've got Jason Kelly, construction project manager for Dowell. David Finnegan, project manager for Kerr Contractors. And Dana Webb, the city engineer for the City of Oregon City. We've also got Tracy Hyde from JLI, who is also helping on this presentation. Brian will begin by giving a project overview, then David will provide information about what you can expect during the construction.
Kristen? Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. So, the goal of the Molalla Avenue Streetscape project is to create a safe corridor for all users. A large portion of the funding of the project is a grant from Metro. That is to create a safer corridor for walking, biking, and accessing transit. The project team has worked hard to balance the needs of the pedestrians, bicyclists, transit riders, and drivers. I'd like to share with you some of the targeted improvements along the corridor. In the area in purple, we will be reallocating one of the southbound through lanes to an additional left turn lane to go east on Beaver Creek Road. In the area highlighted in orange, we will be constructing new sidewalks, ADA compliant curb ramps, street lights, and landscaping on the west side. Additionally, in orange, the orange area, we will be reconstructing the entire road and providing new pavement. The pedestrian image shown in yellow are the locations of the 3 new mid-block crossings with pedestrians activated flashing beacons. Replacement of Clairmont Way and the Gaffney Lane traffic signals and adding a new traffic signal at First Street. And a new decorative street banner as shown in green on the map. And at the south end near Highway 213, an identified blue star is the gateway feature. The project team worked hard to fit all of the project amenities within the existing right-of-way, minimizing the impacts to the properties along the corridor. Major improvements you will see constructed over the next year and a half include a new roadway improvements, which will be mostly on the west side of Molalla Avenue from Beaver Creek to Highway 213. There will be 11-foot travel lanes, 12-foot center turn lane medians, 7-foot buffered bike lanes, and 10-foot sidewalks that include street lights, street trees, and irrigations for those street trees all along the west side of the corridor. This includes relocation of utility poles that currently impact sidewalks and safety. The center median will be installed in a few areas along the corridor. Early in the project, we heard your concerns about planting in medians where pedestrians cross, and the new RFB locations will not include any plantings, providing a safer corridor for the pedestrians. Driveway resizing was done, and in those locations to maximize safety for people biking and walking, creating a safer crossing. TriMet bus stops improvements will include new shelters at 2 stops where the high number of boardings occur. Additionally, the locations of a stop will change slightly to better align with the new pedestrian crossings. The project includes placemaking amenities such as a new decorative cross-street banner poles, gateway feature, as well as benches and trash receptacles along the corridor, all intended to encourage the community to enjoy the corridor. Thanks. Next, Kristen. Yeah, thank you. We might have met you last year at one of our open houses. We talked to a lot of neighbors, answered a lot of questions, and got a lot of good feedback. The type of outreach were newsletters. We reached out to about 1,250 businesses and residences. We held multiple neighborhood association meetings, multiple open houses, canvassed businesses, sent out design surveys, and included project information in utility bill inserts, and held meetings with the citizen involvement groups. If you participated in the online survey in April of 2019, you may recognize some of the words in the Wordle graphic. These were the key comments we heard from you that helped the project team to make the design decisions. And now, next, I want to introduce David from Char Contractors. He'll kind of walk you through the construction schedule.
Thanks, Brian. So, yeah, my name is David Finnegan. I'm with Char, and we're actually going to be doing the construction part of the whole project now that we've been awarded. So, yeah, construction schedule. So the job will start roughly July of this year, and it will take about 1.5 years to complete. Construction will be phased, which means that we're going to begin in summer, July of this year, and we're going to work on the north end, which is near where Molalla Avenue ties into Beaver Creek Road on some water line. And after we do that work, which will primarily be at night, then we'll actually switch into a secondary stage, which will be in the fall. And during that stage, we'll be working on the east side of Molalla, all the way from Beaver Creek Road down to OR 213 highway. For those of you who don't know, the east side of Molalla is the Fred Meyer or the Goodwill side. And that work will include the remaining waterline work that we don't finish during phase 1. It'll have some curb ramps and some sidewalk work that's associated with it. We'll also be doing some wiring for the future traffic signals during that phase along the east side. And when we're all done with the underground work, we'll finally do some new asphalt paving on the east side. Once that's completed, we'll be able to switch over to the west side of Molalla Avenue and begin work there. That work is roughly slated for to begin in early 2021. And that work, actually, that side allows us to finish the remainder of the project, which includes all the underground, the storm lines, for all the new storm drainage work, the remainder of those large sidewalks that Brian was telling you about, and driveways. And then finally, the traffic signals and street lighting and irrigation that will go up. And then summer of 2021 is when you're actually going to see all the exciting things like the traffic signals installed, the rapid flashing beacons for pedestrian crossings, the street lights will go up, all those long procurement items that we have to fabricate. And then finally, you'll see the medians, the concrete medians be installed. And then we'll do the top lift of paving and then finally stripe the project and be completed with it, doing all the final touch-ups like adding benches and finished products like that. And then finally, the completion of the project is slated for fall of 2021. And then with that, I can have Jason Kelly with Dow talk to you about the construction and the daily impacts of that.
Thank you, David. Hope everybody can hear me. My name is Jason Kelly with Dow. I'll be working with David and Brian to manage the project, and I'll be mainly coordinating the inspection staff as well as coordinating with the design engineers on the project. For this project, the majority will be standard city working hours, which are weekdays from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. In order to facilitate the work along Molalla Avenue, the roadway will be limited to 2 travel lanes, which means that for the duration of the project, there won't be a center turn lane. We need that extra real estate to get our work done. So the roadway will feel more constrained. So be sure to use caution when driving. There'll be, a lot of construction crews in the area as well as bikes on roadway. Traffic delays will occur along the corridor, so please plan a little extra time to get through the area. When construction necessitates impacts on the routes to pedestrians, we will be providing temporary pedestrian accessible routes, which will allow pedestrians to continue to use the corridor. An example of this is shown in the photo on the bottom right of the slide there. For traffic control on the corridor, we'll use construction signs, orange barrels, cones, we call them candlesticks. We'll also have blue business signs as well as blue cones to delineate business accesses. And then we'll also be using portable changeable message boards like you see out there already. During construction, the intersections at Gaffney and at Clairmont, we're going to convert those to 4-way stops for safety reasons during construction. And then when we're done, we'll install the new traffic signals and turn those on. And just as a reminder, the entire corridor will be an active construction zone, so please use caution when traveling through the corridor and expect changes fairly regularly. Next slide, please. At times, the contractor will need to temporarily close one lane. So when that occurs, the crew will be using flaggers to guide traffic through the corridor. For night work, the project team carefully reviewed the pros and cons of night work. In this busy corridor of Oregon City, we see about 13,000 daily vehicle trips, with the majority of those trips occurring between 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. So the project team allowed for the contractor to work nights, to do certain components at night. The night work will shorten the overall project timeline. It'll limit impacts during the day and during regular business hours, and also allow the contractor the ability to work when there's less vehicles on the roadway. So during night work, residential properties along the corridor should experience some construction noise. You may hear muted backup alarms, excavation, compaction activities. At this time, the contractor anticipates night work at the beginning of the project to install the new water line, and then there'll be short duration periodic moments throughout the next year. The contractor will work nights, mainly in congested areas, in signals, in driveways, crossings of the utilities across the road, just congested areas that we just can't do during the day. So regarding, short duration closures of side streets and driveways, the existing pavement on Molalla Avenue has reached the end of its useful life. You've probably seen a lot of potholes out there and cracking. In order to completely rebuild the pavement, which consists of 19 inches of new rock and asphalt, the construction will impact the ability to use side streets and driveways. So when side streets such as Clairmont or Gaffney or Garden Meadow Lane are impacted, we'll have detour routes and signage in place along the corridor, and we'll also share that on the city's social media and as well as the email subscription list. The project team will work with individual businesses to minimize those impacts during the reconstruction and also maintain business accesses. Now I'd like to turn it back to Brian, I believe.
Thank you, Jason. So we understand this is a sensitive time for businesses, and it's our goal to make sure that the business access is open and clearly identified during construction. One of the ways the project is providing visual cues to vehicles traveling along the corridor is placement of an A-frame sign and blue construction cones to identify open businesses access locations along the corridor. This concept worked really well on another project in the area just recently. Additionally, we know there are various single-family properties along the corridor. The project team will work with those property owners to maintain access to their properties, and Char knows how important business access is and will communicate and coordinate with businesses when working in commercial areas in the corridor. Next. So I'm going to walk you through this corridor. Starting at the north end of the project, this image shows the Colton Place, Adrian Way, which is an area between Hilltop Mall and Goodwill. I'd like to share some of the operational capacity and safety features the project will provide in this section. The green pavement markings / striping will be installed in high conflict areas of the bike lanes. This safety feature was recommended by the bike advocates in that area at one of our open houses. To address the operational capacity and safety issues, the project team is recommending changes to the Molalla Avenue and Beaver Creek intersection. We currently have 2 through lanes on the southbound Molalla Avenue between Warner, Milne, and Beaver Creek. The current inner through lane, as it approaches Beaver Creek Road, will be converted to a second left turn lane onto Beaver Creek Road eastbound. This change will remove the flashing yellow arrows for the southbound left turn movement, which is one of the movements at the intersection that creates the high number of angle crashes. Removing one of the southbound through lanes will remove the dangerous merge that we currently have on the south side of Beaver Creek near Marquise. Additionally, the traffic analysis has shown that in the future we will need to provide dual left turn lanes from northbound Molalla Avenue to Beaver Creek Road towards the red soil employment area. The proposed lane usage allows future projects utilizing the yellow hatched area to implement those dual left turn lanes without reconstructing the road. We anticipate this capacity project would be needed in the next 7 to 10 years. A new pedestrian RFB crossing is proposed at Adrian Way near Black Rock Coffee. Installation of this pedestrian crossing will require installation of a raised median that will limit the driveways to the right in and right out. This is necessary to the safety to allow pedestrians who currently use this crossing of the street. And the cyan, the greenish blue area shows the location of the new 10-foot sidewalk with street lights and street trees along the west side of the corridor. And you will see in each section as we walk through the project, there'll be the same thing along that same side of the corridor. Next. This image shows Clairmont Way to Gaffney Lane, which is the area between Joanne and Fred Meyer's. There are some operational and safety features to the project that we will provide in this section. TriMet will be installing bus shelters at the northbound stop at Clairmont Way and Gaffney Lane. Bus stops not getting a shelter will be getting benches and trash receptacles. To address operational and safety concerns, both the traffic signal at Clairmont and Gaffney Lane will be reconstructed to ADA compliant. And over the past few years, Clairmont Way and Gaffney Lane's intersection have had more than their fair share of crashes and near misses. The project team reviewed the crashes and heard from the community their concerns with how these intersections operate today. To address those concerns, each of the signals will have dedicated left turn lanes from the side street and will have a protected movement. This allows the left turn movements to occur separate from the through movements and the pedestrian crossings. This creates a safer intersection for the vehicles and pedestrians. Another request we heard at one of our open houses was a suggestion to include pedestrian double push button features that will allow additional time for crossings at Gaffney Lane signal. We agree that that will provide a safer crossing experience for those who need a little more time to cross. Thanks. So this image shows First Street to Garden Meadow Drive, which is an area between Wilco and the post office. There are some operational and safety features the project will provide in this section. A new traffic signal at First Street will be installed. During our analysis of the corridor of the project, the team identified an existing need for the traffic signal at this location. This provides an operational benefit to vehicles accessing Molalla Avenue at First Street. The new traffic signal also provides a safe crossing location for pedestrians. You'll also notice sidewalk infill on the east side, shown in cyan, near the Wilco Farm Store. Additionally, a sidewalk work is also occurring on the east side near the post office to provide an ADA accessible area at the TriMet bus stop. A new pedestrian mid-block crossing with RFBs will be constructed in front of the post office, and the existing sidewalk, street trees, and street lighting on the west side in front of the Biscuits Cafe and the Miller Paint will all remain. So that's why you won't see it in that cyan color. Next. So this image shows Diaz Drive to Highway 213, which is an area between Sureguard and Storage and that highway and the Highway 213. In this section, we added safety and placement marking features to the project. And near Diaz Drive, we are installing a new decorative cross-street banner poles. This project element was funded by a community enhancement grant, which is a goal to provide place making with art along the corridor. And you may recall we previously had a community banner location on Molalla Avenue near May Street. This new cross-street banner pole will assist the community in sharing upcoming events, information, similar to how was previously done on the poles. And a new pedestrian mid-block crossing with RFBs will be constructed north of OC Point Complex and Lazy Creek Lane. And another suggestion from an open house was to move the bike lane to the other side of the right turn pocket as you approach Highway 213. We agreed this is a safer option and are excited that our biking community has shared their thoughts on making Molalla Avenue a safer corridor for biking. We presented 3 gateway design options at July 2019's open house and on the online survey. And based on the feedback from the community, the basalt seat walls will be included in the project. Along with the wall, we included additional landscaping to upgrade both sides of the entry on the corridor. And now Dana will walk through some of the project funding.
Thanks, Brian. Again, I'm Dana Webb, City Engineer for the City of Oregon City. The Molalla Avenue Streetscape project is a great example of combining a variety of capital improvement needs along a corridor into one project. This project includes many smaller projects that the city needs to address along the corridor, such as replacing aging distribution water lines, adding a new transmission water line, reconstructing the full pavement section that we have been deferring for many years, replacing outdated traffic signals, adding a new traffic signal, and the grant funding allows us to complete the missing sidewalk, biking, and access to transit infrastructure in this key corridor. Combining all these into one project minimizes the impacts to the public by not working in an area again in a short period of time. It allows us to leverage our city funds with grant funding and to share project expenses like open houses, mobilization, and traffic control. Kristen, I'll hand it back to you. Kristen, you're muted.
Thanks, Dana. I apologize. We've had some technical difficulties, especially when Brian started. So we're going to go back to slide 5, just so that way he can give you a fresh overview of the project.
All right, yeah, so this will give you the overall, I'd like to summarize it for you again, since you probably didn't see the slide earlier. So the goal of the Molalla Avenue Streetscape project is to create a safer corridor for all the users. And a large portion of the funding of the project is a grant from the Metro. That is for creating a safe corridor and walking, biking, and accessing transit. The project team has worked hard to balance all those needs for pedestrians, bicyclists, transit riders, and drivers. So it's just to summarize. But to go through it, we'll go through this corridor real quickly again so you can see it as an overall. So in the area highlighted in purple, it will be reallocating one of the southbound through lanes to an additional left turn lane to go east on Beaver Creek Road. In the area highlighted in orange, we will be constructing new sidewalks, ADA compliant curb ramps, street lights, and landscaping on the west side. Additionally, in that orange, we will be reconstructing the entire road and providing new pavement all the way along there. The pedestrian image shown in yellow are the locations of the 3 new mid-block crossings with pedestrian activated flashing beacons. And the replacement of Clairmont Way and Gaffney Lane's traffic signals will be added or will be done, and they'll also be adding a new traffic signal at First Street. And then the new decorative cross street banner is shown as in green. And at the south end near Highway 213, identified by a blue star, is the gateway feature. Back to you, Kristen.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, so we do have a few questions already queued up. If you would like to ask some further questions, please type them at the bottom of your screen. There should be a little Q&A button that you click on, and you can ask the questions there. I'll read them aloud and then give them to one of our panelists to answer. But again, I want to thank Brian, Jason, David, and Dana for being here and providing us this presentation. We'll go ahead and get started. Let's see. We've got 2 water questions. We'll start with the first one. It says, I've been told that my water service is going to be changed. I have also been told that I will have to hire a contractor to make the final connection to our house.
So Kristen, I've replied directly to Doug. He's a property owner along the project, and we'll work those out directly with Doug
Okay,
for both
great.
of those water questions.
Great, great, great. Let's see. And I think this question might be for Jason. It says, does this mean all the metal plates along Molalla will be there for at least 18 months?
So I can actually answer that.
Thanks, David.
So we haven't actually started construction yet, and what you're seeing out there is all the utilities, utility contractors that have to move all their utilities out of the way so that we can actually perform the construction. So those metal plates that you're seeing out on the roadway, those have been owned by, I believe, Northwest Natural Gas, who was moving some of their gas lines in preparation for probably future storm that goes through that area. So no, they won't be there the whole 18 months. However, you will see some steel plates probably as the progression of the job goes. We will be using some steel plates, but they definitely won't be in one place for 18 months. I don't know if that answers the question, but there you have it.
Thank you, David. Next question is, will there be a flash alert for road restrictions? This is a great question. Anytime that we have streets that are blocked or any kind of delay in traffic, we put that information out on our social media channels. We don't typically use a flash alert unless there is a major change or unless there's a public health threat such as a water boil notice. So follow us on our social media channels or make sure that you're subscribed to the project e-newsletter. We'll have information there as well. Next question is, I noticed there's already work at Molalla and Gaffney. What's going on there?
I can answer that question. So the work that's being done at Gaffney Lane is some relocations of gas line in that area, and they're just right now finishing up. So they're going to repave that section.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian.
I believe that's right where those steel plates were that everyone was referencing.
Yep.
So we've got another steel plate question. The question is, will you, I guess the metal plates that are on right now, it says, will you resurface and then resurface to replace the metal plates?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
I just got a message that the metal plates were removed late today and the area's been paved.
Oh,
Great.
and then lastly, I believe Brian was emailed some questions directly that I don't have in front of me. Brian, do you think you can share those questions?
Yes, I'll share those. Thank you. So the first question was, what will happen to the crosswalk at Garden Meadows? So this question, the crosswalk is actually moving. We'll move the crosswalk over to what we mentioned in the slideshow in front of the post office. This was a safer location than where it was before. And we're going to enhance that crosswalk with the RFFBs to protect the pedestrians. So the next question that was asked was, what special construction techniques are being taken to ensure that the new tree planted for the project have adequate rooting space so that they can grow to their full extent and to avoid infrastructure damage to the sidewalks? Now that was a great question. Thank you for asking that to Damon. And what we're doing is our design incorporates what is called a root barrier, which is a type of shield that extends down below the sidewalk and curbs and so forth. And that'll help prevent the tree roots from growing out and popping up the sidewalks. And then also with that, we plant trees that are spec'd out for us from the landscape architect to grow more up. And so the trees will grow up, but the roots will also follow suit, and they'll go directly more downward to prevent the sidewalk from popping up so that the roots don't come up. So anyway, that's what we do there. The third question was, what tree protection measures are being taken for the mature trees along Molalla Avenue between Clairmont Way and Adrian Way? So for all of the trees that are to remain on the project, we will protect those trees. And there are a few trees in this area that PG is working with property owners to trim, and a few of them will be removed so that they can put their power lines through.
Great. Thank you, Brian. We've got one more question that's come in. It says, I noticed several right turn pockets are being removed and the bike lanes will be striped all the way to the intersections. Is this true for every intersection, or will some right turn pockets remain? Brian or Dana, would either one of you want to take that?
Go ahead, Dana.
So currently in the southbound direction, we have some small right turn pockets that are at Clairmont and Gaffney. In order to provide a continuous buffered bike lane the entire length of the project, we have decided to remove those right turn pockets. We did the traffic analysis and it shows that the intersections still operate acceptably. This is a safer condition for bicycles traveling along Molalla Avenue, but it also provides a safer intersection for a pedestrian that's crossing Molalla because their crossing distance is now shorter. So it's a great safety benefit both for the bikes and pedestrians without negatively impacting the vehicle travels.
Awesome. Thank you, Dana. All right, well, we've answered all the questions. We really appreciate you that showed up for our very first virtual open house. Thank you for your patience as we got through all the bugs and kinks. Again, we've recorded this virtual open house and we will be posting it on our YouTube page and also on our project page. Again, we remind you to sign up for our e-newsletter, which is on the project page as well. And if you have any questions, please feel free to send them to the city and we will answer them as quickly as possible. Thank you so much and have a great evening.